So hello and welcome back. We're still working on writing equations for quadratics. The last video we did if you were giving the vertex and a point. And on this one we're going to do if you're given the x-intercepts and a point. So again, we have done the first one there, and that we are working on the second method here. So let's go ahead and okay, so we're going to find this one very similar to what we did the last time, except for I actually think this one is easier if we write it in, let me get rid of this here, if we write it in standard form. Okay, standard form. And if you remember, standard form is ax squared plus bx plus c. And the other thing to remember is the zero product rule. And the zero product rule was that said that if you have two things equal to 0, then either A equals 0 or B equals 0. And that's how we found our x-intercepts when we were factoring. So just a quick example here. If I had x squared plus 2x plus 1 equals 0, and I ask you to solve it, if you'll remember, we said, well, that would be x plus 1 and x plus 1. And then we set each of those factors equal to 0. And so we would say x equals a -1. In this case, x equals a -1 also. So the difference here is they're giving you this, and you're going to go backwards to the equation. Okay? So just kind of a FYI and a remember there. Okay? So I'm going to clean this off here real quick. Okay. And so, again, over here, we're given the x-intercepts. So they've given us what it is once we've solved it. So I'm going to go backwards. And so what that means is that x equals 2. I'm going to put in all the steps, and on the second one, I'll skip some of the steps. X equals 4. That's what they're telling you. Whoops, not -4. Okay. If I go move that over and set it equal to 0, that becomes my two factors. And so I know these were my two factors. Okay. Now, since we're finding the equation, a couple of things are going to happen. Okay. One is I could have, before I begin my problem, I could have factored out a number. In other words, I could have had, let's say, 2x squared plus 4x plus 2. Okay. And so I could have factored out a 2 first. So that's what we need to know, is did we factor a number before we got started? Okay, so we're going to put out in front an A. The other thing, since we're finding the equation for graphing of it, we're also going to let it equal y, because remember when we solve it, we say let y equal 0, we're going backwards. Okay, so we need to find our equation. Well, this is where our point comes in, okay? Because from our point, we know our x, we know our x and a y. So just like the last time, we're going to put those values in and find out what a is. So the x is 1, and the y is 3. So I just put those numbers in. So now I'm going to simplify, okay? 1 minus 2 is -1, and 1 minus 4 is a -3. So a -1 and a -3 is 3. So that's 3a equals 3. So a was 1, which means that no, we didn't pull out a common factor. Okay? Now I'm not done. All that is done is found the a. Again, as I said in the last video, I should have come up with one here to give you, I have a as 1. So in this problem up here, I know that a is 1. Where do I want to go? So we're going to come down here, and I'm coming really from that problem, a1. So I have x minus 2 times x minus 4 equals y. And now all I need to do is go ahead and FOIL that out. So I'm going to have x squared minus 2x minus 4x plus 8 equals y. X squared minus 6x plus 8 equals y. and that becomes my equation. Okay, so again, my steps were to, let's say, write intercepts as factors. Okay. Then we're going to find A by substituting X, Y. Okay. And then substitute A and FOIL. Okay, so that's kind of just a rough thing. So let's try another one. So the first thing again is to write our intercepts as factors. Okay, if you don't need to do this piece here, I'm okay with that. You should be able to just go to x minus 3 and x minus 5. Remember, it's the opposite. We're going to put our A out in our front and our Y here. Okay, our next thing is we're going to put in our X and our Y values. So our X is a 2. And our Y is a 3. And I'm going to simplify. So -1 and -3. Make sure I multiplied that right, or added it right. So -1 times a -3 is 3, and therefore A is 1. Okay, so the next step is, since A is 1, I'm going to come back up to this step, and I'm just going to FOIL. Okay, so x squared minus 3x minus 5x plus 15 equals y. So x squared minus 8x plus 15 is y. And there's your equation. Okay, so don't make it extra hard. Yeah, it's really not that bad, but you do have to kind of remember the steps that are going in. And I know, even though we keep finding A to be 1, you do need to check that and make sure A is 1. Okay, again, we're going to be doing some of these in class together, so be sure you have your notes as we get ready to do these in class.